Last week, we returned to the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship when we visited the Fuji Motor Speedway. Tonight, we head to one of the most popular circuits in all of motorsport. It is Francorchamps for round 2 of the championship. This stream being brought to you on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I have once again alongside me David Sampson, aka Samsoid, of course. And David, we had a fantastic first round of the championship, and I think so many sort of variables being added to this series as well. We are a big fan of these cars, but I think it was the strategy element last time which really took us by surprise.
For sure, and obviously we were learning as well, right, and how it was going to be. But yeah, great format, very strong and performance. That stood out to me the most. I thought it was phenomenal. LMP3's handled the traffic well, but yeah, it was a great watch. Fantastic cars. Excited to see the action.
Absolutely. Shall we have a look, a few clips of what happened last time out in round 1 of the championship? And I mean, in qualifying, it was sort of what we expected. The car number 1, Kia Thiago Marte, he got pole position, and frankly, spoiler alert, he dominated, and no one really saw him for most of the race.
Correct. He gave his teammate a nice little tow there into the one as well.
And of course we had this incident. This was as chaotic as it got. A few LMDHs in the midfield gets in quite a bit of damage. This battle was maybe the best battle we had all race long. Dan Sedgley going with battle with Adam States throughout the race, and that one just went on and on and on. And we also had some good battles in the LMDHs, like this move from Nick Madsen, moving up to P8 on this occasion.
Yeah, that's right. You reminded me, the LMP3 battle at the front was a good one.
Yeah, and of course, James Ipium just losing out on that occasion. Of course, in the LMDH AM fight, it was a bit more chaotic, and we had 3 different leaders, all of which having big issues. It was in the end Blaž Turovsky who won that class. This was Dan Sedgley's late incident, but fortunately, David, he was just about able to get away with it. He won the race by just about 5 seconds, despite losing about 10 seconds due to that mistake.
Yeah, brilliant strategy, great speed, and yeah, he just bit of curb action there, almost cost him it, but yeah, great race.
Of course, Turovsky getting another race win. He got one last season in the AMS, and he's got another one from P7 on the grid as well. It was a really impressive performance from him. Let's have a quick reminder of the cars that we got for this series. Of course, we've got the 4 LMDHs or GTPs, however you're going to name them. And of course, for this round, well, at least for the previous round, sort of 50 minutes on fuel.
Yeah.
Are we expecting the cars to go maybe a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, do you think, on this round?
I think Spa's going to be a little bit on tyres for them, but it depends on. I haven't seen the track conditions and how they're going to perform, but I think they're going to go long this time. I'm calling it this time long, not short.
Yeah. Well, of course, last time it seemed like that zero tyre strategy was maybe the slight better strategy, and it really does, change around lots of drivers' pace as the race goes on. So it was really cool to see that. And of course, we've also got the LMP3s as well. 70% fuel limit for these cars, so they certainly won't make the hour limit either. Everyone will need to have a pit stop for these races. And yeah, it should be pretty good. And I think, it's nice to visit Spa in these LMP3s, which is a circuit that everyone knows ever so well, which is useful when a lot of these guys are still getting used to the machine.
Yeah, for sure. This is a fantastic track. I mean, with Fuji last week, it is, it's not the most popular track. It hasn't been in iRacing the longest, so we did expect a few drivers with these new car class that was either going to be learning the car or track, or for some unfortunate drivers, both. But everybody knows Spa.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's really, really good to see. And of course, when it comes to our calendar for this season, of course, Fuji being the opening round of the championship, and then of course Spa. And this follows just the IMSA official series, so loads of familiar circuits for the drivers, plenty of practice every single round, and so I'm sure we are going to see some good quality racing. And of course, the format for tonight, once again, it's a 60-minute long race. And we've still got that qualifying format as well. And of course, that was quite a difference for a lot of drivers, that open qualifying where they had to deal with, potentially 15 other cars out on circuit. They've got to move around them.
Yeah, let's hope we see more drivers complete that final lap, because you're definitely seeing the inexperience kick in with the open format, because you are allowed, everyone's allowed to finish their lap on in open. But we definitely saw a lot of drivers pitting in or just ending their lap.
Yeah, the words damp squib come to mind. It was a little bit disappointing at the end of those qualifying sessions. We'll be into that in a few minutes' time. Let's have a look at the championship standings. Of course, only one round, so it's just basically the results of round one. Marto already with a 6-point advantage. I was really impressed by Dan Craft, though. He seemed to nail the strategy last time out, because he came from seemingly nowhere to quite a comfortable second place.
Yeah, his strategy was the no tyres, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he made it work. Whether it was the best strategy or not, or he just nailed it, I think he nursed those tyres and made this a deliberate strategy call, but yeah, impressive to come from where he did, yeah.
Yeah, to split up the two race class drivers last time out, that was a good effort from him. In the AMS, Balazs Tarowski currently at the top, and with a little bit of a nice margin as well. And just a reminder, you score points for your overall position, so that's why Tarowski is only on 30 points compared to Marto's 50 points. But you managed to get a few places between him and Hutchinson. Last season, I think in the first 6 races, we had 6 different winners in the LMDH AMS. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we had the same this season. It seems like there's a lot of guys who could be up there. Yeah,
it's a 60-minute race, so for AM drivers in these type of cars, I mean, it's tough out there. So, yeah, I can see why, you know, it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah, let's see if Tarowski can back that up. Of course, 7th on the grid last time out and managed to win, so would be impressive if he could do it again. And in the LMP3s as well, it was a furious battle last time between Sedgley and State, and Sedgley just about managing to win out on that occasion. He's 6 points clear. Humphrey was right with them for the opening parts of the race. Do not count him out. I know a lot of the EBOSR guys, him and Stevens and Saul and Copeland, all getting used to the car, so that could well closen up as the season goes on. But at least the track for this round, David, and yeah, it's almost pointless for us to do the track because everyone knows Spa, right? I mean, it's the first circuit along with Watkins Glen that everyone buys on the sim.
Yeah, maybe even over Watkins Glen because of the popularity coming from Formula One. So even, you know, if you're coming from a background of just watching television, watching Formula One, you may not be interested in Glen, even though it's definitely up there. But yeah. We'll do the track walk anyway.
Yeah, and of course La Source turn 1, and of course we've got the normal Grand Prix pits for this series, so the drivers will be tumbling into La Source. I mean, is there anything you can actually do as a driver to avoid incidents, or is it just in the hands of the other drivers in that scenario?
Well, I've been driving this all week, and for sure there are things you can do, but you've got to trust the driver to the side of you. So. But yeah, knowing the off tracks, knowing the slowdowns is massive here, because sometimes avoidance can save your race, but you need to understand, you know, where the limits of the track is. And I don't know the limit here, but it always plays a part in Spa, and I imagine over an hour race, it really will play a part in the race.
Were there many slowdowns you found on the Kemmel Straights on lap 1, or have people kept it fairly clean up through Radium? Because that's a very easy slowdown to pick
up. It's really tricky in the LMDH. I'm quite new to the car, and obviously the closing speed is insane, so when they do serve them, it's quite immediate. But no, the usual mantra is you pull over to the side, which is fine in early laps, but in later laps, when you've also now got a GT3 and a slow in LMDH, this is where the chaos ensues.
Exactly. And of course, we're watching images of Pouon and Lafanya, and then into Stavlo and co. It's a wonderful circuit. It is so good. Got a wonderful flow to it, very different to how it used to be many years ago. But yeah, will be a fantastic track for the drivers to negotiate. And yeah, in terms of the lap traffic as well, I mean, it's quite a long lap, so we're going to have a fair few less kind of tours around with the classes interacting necessarily. But with it being so now, do you think if anything it's going to be tougher in Fuji for the two classes to react towards one another?
I do think this will be tougher with traffic management. Probably not the danger of what could happen, but yeah, the LMP3s aren't going to be too easy to pass in the tight, twisty areas. They're big, they're long, they've got pretty good speed. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a breeze for the LMDHs. I honestly don't.
Well, let's find out. We'll go over to qualifying now. We'll play a quick advert first, and then we'll be back into qualifying and see what the pecking order is going to be for round 2 of the championship.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, make it happen sooner rather than later. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, we are now at Spa and preparing for the qualifying session for this round of the championship. And of course, yeah, thanks to all of our sponsors that you just seen in the past there. Apex Racing Simulators in particular, do visit apexracingsim.com in order to visit our facility in Corby and in the UK, and have a go on our virtual racing school rigs, and also check out all the equipment as well available on Apex Racing Sim, including those virtual racing school equipment, wheelbase, wheel rim, pedals, and I mean, David, you've been trying them out a little bit yourself, and it's pretty nice, isn't it? Yeah,
brilliant. I've got them all at home now, and yeah, it's impressive. I'm still adapting to everything and dialing it in, because it's been a big change to me, because I changed everything on my rig at once. But yeah, really impressive equipment.
Yeah, it is pretty nice stuff. And yeah, I think one or two of our drivers certainly out of the field today will certainly be running that stuff. I certainly know Tiago Marto, when he visited here, was very impressed by the rigs a few weeks ago when he came over. But here are the LMP3 qualifying at the moment, and it's currently Sedgley, as we expect, on pole position. Fortin once again qualifying really well. I think he was second place on the grid last time as well, was Fortin, maybe third. His race pace didn't quite live up to his qualifying pace, though, so I'm a little bit sceptical of these good times early on, whether or not he'll be able to back it up later on.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it depends who knew the track well, and it is a tricky track, and we did see a lot of difficulties at the beginning, but no, it's great to see. Sedgley, Fortin, Thomas Hansen, little shout out to a SimSport driver there, running P3 at the moment. That's good to see. We know State's quick, so we can expect him to definitely put in a good time. We know he's a great driver, and this is a popular track, so I'm sure we're going to see him shine.
Yeah, I think that's very likely. The drivers just completing their last laps. You might see an LMTH or two pop up behind Tom Stevens by the end of this lap, because they'll be exiting the pits themselves at this point. But they shouldn't interact too much. I think there should just about be enough of a gap. As yeah, Humphrey giving his teammate Joseph Saul a little bit of a draft. That's a nice place for us all, because, you know, not only do you have the draft, but also just following another driver, at least in my experience, David, is quite helpful.
It can be. It can wash you a little bit in these prototypes, but I don't feel like it's going to be much of a problem in LMP3. Could see in LMDH. It can in qualifying, yeah, I can see the benefit. But in race, it can definitely wash you out, as we're seeing there. That might have been either a mistake or a bit of heavy wash there, as we see Joseph go for a bit of a spin there.
Yeah, that's not going to exactly improve his qualifying position. And yeah, we do have 11 LMP3s out here tonight, which is pretty much the same as what we had last time out.
Yep.
And yeah, of course, Thomas doing well there in third position. Doing very well.
Not
for
biased.
some side. No, it is nice as well to break up the slight British dominance so far of the series. Fortan and Hansen both up there in the top places. Humphrey still trying to improve.
Yep.
And these are some green sectors from Humphrey. This has got improvement written all over it. He just needs to make sure that he nails the bus stop at the end of the lap. And I think it's pretty much done that nice and tidy in the LMP3.
Very tidy, yeah.
Let's see where it's going to put him. It might surely one place gained at least for Humphrey. I think it's another damp squib. Oh, dearie me. On my screen, it came up with 5 personal best sectors, but maybe it was an off track somewhere around the lap. Humphrey remains in P6.
Could well be, yeah. So is it LMDH AMS out next?
It is the LMDH AMS next out on circuit. There they are. I really do like the Porsche. Like every time I'm looking at the Porsche, I'm just thinking, that thing looks so good.
I've have limited time in most of them, probably most of the Caddy and the BMW all week. I didn't enjoy the Porsche in my early testing, but now I'm a lot better at LMDH driving. I should give it another go. I definitely got beat by a couple today.
And I think Owen Cowell was doing his BOP test earlier this weekend. It's the Acura, which seems to be the slowest car, it seems.
Well, I saw one on pole today.
Okay.
And he was the only Acura in the race, and he was pole. And there were some big iRatings in the race, so it was impressive. I think all these cars get their times from different ways, and I think, obviously, Owen's a brilliant driver. His one-lap pace is insanely crazy, but I'm really enjoying the bop of these cars. It seems like a different element to GT3s. It's almost how they strap their time. Yeah, it's great to see.
And something that Owen as well has really stressed is that it's not just down to that one-lap pace. It's down to, the whole race stints. And so don't just look at the headline times. Take into consideration the long-run pace as well. So you're absolutely right. There are big characteristic changes between the 4 LMDHs, and how privileged we are to have such a wide variety of top-class prototype machines on iRacing. And the first few are going to be setting their times fairly soon. Chris Stevenson, he's going to be 4th or 5th across the line. I think the first across the line might be Simone Nasura, who is just approaching the line right now. Of course, was leading for much of the race last time out in the AMS. Wasn't in the end a good result for him. It was Tarowski who's just gone to pole position, who beats him. Nasura less than a 10th behind.
Yeah, nice and close. Need some more lap times to come in for sure to see where this puts them, but it seems like a few people there were just going for the single lap and then resetting. So fuel, obviously, it's a long lap, right? So I suppose there's quite a lot of time to be gained. I certainly would like more than one attempt if each reset. 100%.
Yes, such a long lap, as I say. Yeah, it is worth doing. There's Grace Cullen, but a while away. I'm sure there'll be more improvements on that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, by the way. And yeah, do feel free to put any questions in the chat. We've got some support for, I assume, Hakon Nicholson from Conan at the moment. So good to see.
QT in chat.
As well, yeah. This is the opportunity. The drivers get to listen to our voices. Usually they're all caught up doing laps, but no, they can tune in for the entertainment on Apex Racing TV as well. It's very, very, very kind of us.
Yeah, very kind. Now coming back to Owen's Bob, it must be tricky because of the ERS as well. This is, it's not like a GT3 where full engine power means full engine power, but how much ERS is used on the lap, how much is available. So again, like you were saying, race pace plays a huge part in these LMDHs.
Seems like Poncelet Loy is deciding to go for another lap at the moment. Now, I think last time, one of the best moments of last time, of course, was you failing at several questions. We did ask another question as well after the broadcast, and
I got it right. I think no.
No, you didn't.
No.
Don't lie.
No.
No one believes you. The final question as well, I think in hindsight was quite harsh. It was who owned Fuji Speedway before Toyota did for like the first 40 years of its existence. Let us know in chat. Post that if you know it, and don't just Google it. Be fun. And but I've got some more questions.
Fire.
Exactly. So what I want to know first up, and I think we've done this on previous broadcasts as well, got a standard few Spa questions that we can ask. When was the first race held at Spa? First car race, I'll specify. What decade? I'm asking. I'm not asking for a specific year, but what decade was the first race at Spa?
I have no idea. History, man.
I'll commentate on what's going on whilst you...
Yeah. While I Google it.
Yeah. We've still got Trotsky at the top there, that lap not being beaten, but Hunt is up into second position now, so yeah, strong improvement for him on his second attempt. And yeah, Nucera still lining up in third ahead of his fellow countryman, Davide Faveri, running up the second row of the grid.
Decade.
It's not a decade. 10-year period. It's a long time.
Yeah. 1930s.
You're going for 30s,
Yeah.
No, that's a shame, isn't it? It was 1920s.
Yeah, I meant the 20 to 30 range. Yeah. Sorry. That decade. No, yeah. Okay, we're close. We're closer this time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big improvement. So yeah, we'll see if David can do better later on more questions. I think we've now had all of the LMDH AMs. Well, no, in fact, we've still got two more, Dominic Smerick and Nuno Costa. Costa's actually invalidated all of his laps so far, so he is struggling at the moment to get some of those clean laps in. He is currently on another lap, albeit I think this is a legitimate one, so let's see if the V-Racers driver can finally get a time on the board. The 963, his debut in the series, and picking the Porsche. We have a late choice for him on that one, and puts him to 14th position at the moment. I think there's a bit more time in that.
I'm shocked not to see more Bimmers. It was the only car I drove all week, and it was very balanced, great on tyres.
A couple of guys have moved to the Beamer, to be fair, but it's a big penalty at this point. So changing cars after round one, I mean, that's 50 points gone. There are multiple drivers on minus points now at this point, because you basically get a race win taken away from you if you change cars. So the Beamer for some people is worth it, and it's worth taking the sacrifice at this point, so you get the reward for it for the remaining 9 rounds.
Yeah, I think the popular choice is definitely the Bimmer and Caddy. The balance is probably the best. The Acura seems to be very difficult to extract the pace. That's the big guns can do it, but I don't think for us mortals it's such an easy ride. And I say I'm staying away from the Porsche for now. We'll see.
So still Trotsky to beat in this session. He's winding up for another lap. This will be his last lap. Once it gets to the 20 minutes, those amateur drivers will have to complete the lap that they've started, and then they'll have to go back to the pits. And so this is really last chance for Trotsky. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. He'll be hoping that that won't cost him too much. I don't think it will be much of a difference. Still 2 or 3 seconds of a gap. Ali Hunt as well is just approaching the line, but I don't think this is going to be improvement from Hunt, currently in second place. So they'll start another lap. And Nucera back to the pits. So really, it's probably going to be Hunt, Ferrari, Willoughby and Vilbrink, the likely ones to challenge Trotsky for this pole position.
Yep, it's looking that way.
Oh, Trotsky's off. That's a 1x, right?
I think that was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay. As long as you keep, I believe, 2 tyres on the red and white. I mean, seeing it from TV cam, I might be mistaken because I'm always from cockpit cam. I think as long as you keep 2 tyres on it, you're okay.
It's a shame because you can see that second sector absolutely rapid from him. But Hunt is just lacking a little bit at the moment, but I think that wide line to put on, even if it wasn't off the circuit, certainly lost him at least 3/10, I think, because he had to go over the curb. Would have broken your spine if it was in real life, and if it was in 2010, because this is when this scan was from. Let's see what this final chicane is like for him. One personal best sector I'm seeing on this lap for Trotsky, so I don't think this is going to be improvement.
He's already wiggling.
Yeah, he's not too happy with it. And
Favaro.
Ferrari now goes to the top. Look at that, 3.5 tenths, 2.5 hundredths ahead.
Top 3 is ESL close. Look at that. Very close at the front. We've got Thomas Hansen in chat wishing himself luck. Yes, good luck. You've got this.
Rink Vilbrink with 3 personal best sectors at the start of this lap. This could be dangerous here for Vilbrink. This could well get him. Well, the problem for him, he can gain by 10th, and that will get him to 5th.
Yep.
But the top 4 is so close. He needs to basically improve by a second in order to get upper row.
Let's see, his first sector was... Yeah, it's tough. It is tough for him.
So here he goes. Would this be an absolutely incredible pole position if you can nail it off? It's a real nice lap, and it does get him up a place. It was a 0.3 of a second improvement, but it still leaves him fairly stranded in that 5th position. And so that is the AMS complete, and well, yeah, it was just that late lap for Ferrari, really helping him to gain some paces. Fantastic effort there from the man who was running most of that session in P4, but was able to deliver the improvement right at the close.
Yeah, it's looking tight in the top 4. That's going to make it really interesting. So hopefully the curse is lifted from last week.
Yeah, that was unlucky. Hutchinson managed to recover at least. He was leading for a bit and then spun out, but at least managed to get P2. But Trotsky was miles clear, and it does very much look like that 7th place in qualifying for Trotsky last time out was an outlier, and that his race pace was very much reflective of the true competitiveness that he's going to be bringing to this series for this season. Favourite for this qualifying, got to be Marteau, right? I think you'd have to be mad to go for someone else.
I am going to be mad.
Okay.
And I'm in LMDH, I'm rooting for Josh, but I reckon Paul can do this. I've raced him here at this track.
Yep.
Now, I know he's new to this car class, but honestly, if he can find the pace, and I know QT's quick. That lap he did last week, I mean, that gave him 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in my eyes. So let's see. But Paul Busby, let's see. There he is on the screen now. Very good driver.
Yeah, Busby didn't have a fantastic first round in 12th place. Had some issues, I think.
I think it was the pit stop phase, right? I think he was one of the people that changed all 4 tyres, and
because I think he was with Ibram, right?
Yeah.
Ibram took 2 tyres. Oh, we've got a spin for one of the... I always want to call it a semi-fight car, because in the endurance challenge we had about 5 different red teams, and that was one of them. Not 100% sure which car that was, but Busby anyway wasn't held up too much from it, but he does pull to the inside, so this one's not going to be a fast lap at least, but he's winding it up for the next one. Do you think 2 warm-up laps could be a strat, or do you think there's not much advantage in there?
I do think 2 warm-up is an advantage, because at Spa the lap's too long for your ERS to actually be at maximum for 2 laps. Even if you start the 2 laps with 100%, which is quite difficult, they don't look like they're pulling that off the way they're preparing their outlap. So I think double outlap 1 lap, but it doesn't leave you a lot of time. So my strat here would be 1 outlap, 1 lap, reset.
Joshua Wilson trying to get to the left side of the circuit to reduce the amount of distance he has to travel at the start of the lap. 191 starting on his big attempt now. Marteau currently on pole position ahead of Max Voss in 2nd place. He had I think qualified in P4 last time out, if I recall correctly, and Smith running in 4th position, but yeah, plenty more changes to come in that one. A few comments saying how it's quite a cold circuit for this one, and it's so cold that it's actually reducing the grip, which at least in my experience is a bit unusual, but it is pretty much minimum temperature, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 18 degrees Celsius, I believe.
It could be the track state. Could be, because I assume it's green with progression, whereas officials we usually see they start a little bit higher. It can mess with the balance, right? So sometimes high grip can give your, for example, your rears a little bit more grip than you're used to. And now, as you're coming around the corner with this newfound front grip, the rear is almost overtaking the front. So we sometimes see in these long, heavy-ass cars that sometimes more grip can destabilize the car.
Yeah, maybe some late tweaks being needed to be made to the setups, perhaps just to counter that slight balance issue. It's going to get warmer as the session goes on. I think it's currently 9:30 in the morning in Sim, and yeah, we'll be getting a little bit warmer as the session goes on, which might help them out compared to what they've been practicing in for most of the week. So, I mean, it's impressive for Marteau up there on pole position, but for Ferrari's time, top of the LMDH AMS, that's still good enough for 2nd place overall. So, I mean, these pro guys are going to be right in amongst the AMS as it stands.
Yeah, we saw that last week. I think I think 2 of them, one or at least one was inside the top 7 last week. I think one of the AMS. It's great to see, but obviously we saw the massive difference over race pace, whereas the 1 lap they can put it together. that it's just the pro class having that level of consistency that the AMs, yeah, we're still working on.
Smith across line, he goes to P3. Good effort there from Smith. It's currently P6 overall, just behind Turovsky, who's an amateur driver, but it is close, 0.3 of a second, separating, well, even 0.2 of a second, separating the top 5 at the moment. There is Villela. He's warming up for a lap at the moment. Just seeing an improvement as well for Pedro Valencia. He's up to 9th place out of the pros. And Paul Busby, it feels like he's just been doing warm-up laps for the past 6.5 minutes. I'm sure that's not deliberate, just having to abort these various lap times.
Yeah, he's making me look bad, but fingers crossed he knows what he's doing. I personally wouldn't, I don't know. Open qualifying is a different beast. When I said what I'd pick strategy-wise, it is important to carry that little bit more fuel because, you know, drivers make a mistake in front of you, it's your lap over. It's not intentional, but that's just the way sometimes it rolls.
Shall we have another question?
Shoot. I was so close last time.
You were close. Well, okay, let's see if you can do this one. I think this is quite a generous one, actually.
Oh,
good. Formula One hasn't been hosted at Spa for 2 years in this century in Formula One. So from the past 22 years, twice Formula One hasn't been able to visit Spa for a year. Can you name me one of the years which F1 hasn't visited Spa in this century? And when I say century, I mean the 21st century, in the past 22 years.
Well, does the pandemic count? Because obviously we didn't go to any of the tracks once it was cancelled, right? During the pandemic. Is that cheating? Because
So they didn't visit for the entire year, not just that the event was cancelled, that they didn't visit the circuit for the entire year.
Oh.
So there's been 2 F1 championships this century where Spa hasn't featured on the calendar.
I still feel like there was one recently because of the track makeover.
You can go for that. Maybe I'm just...
Yeah, I want to say like...
as Max Voss just goes to the top, by the way. By 2,000th of a second, gosh.
No, the recent one was held.
Voss back to the pits, by the way. That will be the end of his qualifying session, it seems. At least he was off the circuit for a moment, so this isn't going to be an improvement for him. Let's see if Segro can get up there as well. 0.2 of a second back as it stands. I think he is just starting another lap. The drivers can complete the lap that they start, and looking like a little bit of an upset potentially. Marteau, I think, is on a slow lap at the moment. He will be starting his final fast lap in just a few moments' time, but pretty much all the pros out on circuit right now looking for an improvement.
All right, answer time then.
I just want 1 year. There's 2 years. There's a 1 in 11 chance of you
I
getting
think
this.
it was... I can't remember the reason.
Oh, also, I'm not letting you submit 2 years, so I want 1 year. You only get 1 shot.
Okay, 1 shot. God, the rules.
As Marteau, because there's a line, he is now just starting a lap time, so that wasn't out that for the Dutch driver. It does look like it's going to be another Dutch 1-2, but potentially a different way around to what we saw last time out. But still, Kraft, Zoffoli, Segro, Ibram, Valencia, Ferreira, all out on circuit, and all looking for an improvement.
I think it was 2004.
You're going for 2004.
That's all I've got.
No, that was a race held in 2004, unfortunately. It was 2003 and 2006.
Close.
Really close. You
What
can't
was
really
the reason for
closer.
3 then?
3 was tobacco sponsorship.
That
6
was it.
I think it was circuit renovations. 04 was when Raikkonen beat Schumacher.
Yeah.
And regarded as probably Raikkonen's second best drive.
Tobacco, that was it. I remember now.
Still 1 more chance. You're 0 out of 5 this season, but
Brilliant.
there's a lot of rounds to go. Marto on a lap. Segro is on a lap as well. Only 1 personal best sector though for Antonino Segro. He's currently in P4, and I think he's just gone off the circuit. That's what the red means when their position changes color to the red,
Yep.
that means that they are off the circuit, and that means that they have most likely picked up a 1x and their lap time will be invalidated. So no improvement there. Zoffoli also crossing the line. He improves, but not enough to move up any places. Pedro Valencia has just improved. He's up to 14th place now, out of the pro drivers. James Ibram has just improved. He's up to 12th now out of the pro drivers. And just the last man on circuit, well, last two men, Ferreira, he's now gone. It's down to Marteau, and this is 3 personal best sectors, David. This could well be pole position.
Yeah, it could be. Let's see. He's fast.
Apparently, there could have been an off-track on this lap. Let's see if it was. No, he's still done it. 0.144 of a second clear.
And see, I said Busby for pole.
Well, Busby did well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did all right.
Like 3rd position. So Marseille takes pole position, but I mean, right at the close, well, the last man out on circuit.
Impressive.
That's a lot of pressure, but he's delivered it. That was 5 sectors, and 4 of them were personal bests.
Unbelievable. We've got an Andy Dawson in chat. Any relation to the? We have a Dawson in the race, right?
I think that is Andy Dawson in the race. But apparently, apparently it's his wedding tomorrow. Well, congratulations, Andy. Great congratulations. Yeah, hopefully it's a good one. Sure it will be. I'm sure hopefully some of his teammates are invited along. I'm not quite sure, but no, hopefully it'll be a very fun one. We have got sign-ups for the Apex Racing Academy Super Formula opening very soon. Well, in fact, they're open now. If you go to apexracingleague.com, you can sign up. And, of course, that starts on Thursday, next Thursday. And you can see more details about the series over on apexracingleague.com. Sign yourself up, sign your teammates up. It should be a fantastic championship in a really, really fun car.
Yeah, it's a tricky car. I like it a lot, but I've got a lot to learn. We've got Paul Busby in chat. He toasted the bus stop. Mate, I had you for pole. Making me look bad. But yeah, I love the car. Have you tried the car? Super Formula?
I've driven it a fair amount. Yeah, I've done a couple of races in it. It's fast.
Yeah.
Like, it's unrealistically fast, but it is. I mean, it's rapid. I mean, it's faster than a Formula 1 car, pretty much. Like, in real life, they're not far off. With iRacing, how they've melded it, it's pretty much the same. And the way that it punches out the corners, you really feel that turbo.
Unbelievable. I think I spun it in 4th gear. I had to stream my first experience of just spinning at Suzuka over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely weapon of a car.
Yep.
Do thoroughly recommend it. So here is the grid then for this round of the championship. It is Thiago Marteau once again on pole position, 10th and a half ahead of Max Voss. Paul Busby in 3rd position for Effect Simulations. Then it's Davide Favero. Top of the amateur drivers, of course. Then it's Antonino Segre, Balash Tarowski, Aaron Smith, Ali Hunt in 8th position. And then it is Joshua Wilson, Simone Nucera, Andre Villela, Nick Madsen, Daniel Kraft, Philip Kraft. Come on, guys. Stop being next to one another. It's not helpful. Zoffoli in 11th place. Then it's Ibram, Vilbrink, Willoughby, Bia Chouvel, Valencia, Alzugari, Yukulson, Vey, Smerik, Mafakwa, Cullen, Gonzaga, Ferreira, Stevenson, Van Helden, Costa, and Loy. Then the LMP3s are Dan Sedgley, Remy Fortin, Hansen, State, Stevens, Humphrey, Copeland, Saul, Plist, Smith, and Robinson, rounding out the 43 cars we have for tonight's race.
That was quick math.
I mean, I've just realised it's on the screen. I was looking at the wrong screen. But yeah, there you go. Should be good.
Very exciting. Did we get to see how many LMDHs are in the mix at the front there with the pros?
Yeah, there's a few of them. 3 in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
It was such a competitive qualifying. I think top 10 separated by about 0.6 of a second. So much closer than what we saw at Fuji. That was what we were anticipating. Sure, it's a long circuit here, but as we've said a couple of times, it's one that the drivers know very well. It's one that the drivers enjoy a lot as well. Now, Marteau has to leave his launch until after the finish line and before the start line. Here he launches though, and we are underway for the round 2 of the championship. And Marteau pulling away from the rest of the field. There's almost a bit of contact for P2. Look at the centre, and there's contact. There is contact. Marteau being wiped out almost. It doesn't look like he's got too much damage. He rejoins almost dangerously. But that almost looked like a brake failure as it's side by side for the lead into Eau Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, the move was never on. He was never going to be able to hold the inside at that type of angle. Shame to see. But looks like QT, hopefully the damage is minimal.
Well, he maybe picks up a slowdown, or maybe that damage is a bit worse than what it first looked like. He is dropping down the order. Paul Busby is leading the way. Who would have thought that besides one of us two? And it's Aaron Smith up to 2nd position, Ferrari in 3rd. In the LMP3s, it looks like it stayed pretty much the same order. There is some fighting down into Eau Rouge, but it's still Dan Sedgley leading, Remy Fortin and Adam State in the top 3.
Yep, I think Thomas Hansen did have P3, but it'd be nice to see a replay of what happened there at the beginning. But it looks like they got through a lot cleaner than the front pack. Sometimes it will be different on LMDH T1, cold tyres. I imagine the guy wasn't intending to go for the lead there. He was intending to outbrake the guy to the side of him. And you have to remember the guy on the left can go deep, wide around the corner, whereas you've got, you know, the leader coming into the apex, which was his. But yeah, shame to see. But yeah, so fingers crossed he can. It's too early to fuel up with damage, but let's just hope for QT's sake that damage is minimal. Maybe it was just a slowdown.
I believe it was Antonino Seagrave who missed the corner. Max Voss has had to tow back to the pits as well, so he was involved. And so I think the top 2 just wiped out. And Seagrave was so late on the brakes. We'll get replays a bit later on. Keep tuned on the broadcast because, yeah, that will be massive. Well, I'm sure we'll get some stuff on social media as well for it. Essentially leading the way ahead of Fortin, who's been able to hold on to his lead. You're absolutely right about State passing Hansen, so that was a change for 3rd position. And it's the Evo cars right behind. But these top 2 in the LMP3s just making a small break for it in these early stages.
Yeah, great to see. It's still close at the front with Busby and Smith separated by less than 2 tenths. And then there is a bit of a gap, but we did see it was the top 4 that had the pace, and obviously 2 of those in our goal.
I think there's been a bit of a pile-up. I'm just seeing a lot of changing rounds. I think Dominic Smerick being involved in something, maybe Nathan Willoughby as well. But it's all kicking off for 2nd position, sorry, for 3rd position. The draft for Hansen bringing right into play, but yeah, State holding on to that P3.
I'm liking this flaming Samswood logo. This is making me happy. Come on, Thomas. Unbiased though, unbiased.
No, we've all got biases. we just don't admit them usually. It's all good. Daniel Kraft has gone back to the pits.
Yeah.
Where's the other Kraft going? Philip Kraft is up 5 places. Out the pros, I think he's up even more when you take into consideration all of the drivers.
Yeah.
But what a chance this is now for a few drivers who didn't have very good round 1s. Busby up there, he was outside the top 10. I think Smith was 8th place in round 1. Ferreira up there in 3rd position. Wilson up there. So really is a little bit mixed up, and Smith is looking to get, I think, what would be his first ever overall victory. He's won a lot of Pro-Am and Am victories in F3s in the past on ARL, but this would be a first overall victory for him.
Yeah, keep an eye on QT's times. Obviously, it'll give us better of an opportunity next lap to see where his relative pace is, because he definitely has the pace from, 9 seconds off the lead, which is, that's nothing for him. I think he pulled out almost that at one point in the Fuji race.
He won by, it was close to 20 seconds, and I think he was not pushing by the end.
And obviously, with the fuel being 50, QT will be fully aware that, say, after 11, 12 minutes, he can box. Is there a faster pair in this series?
There is a faster pair.
He could box, get the faster pair on, and do what he does and lay down the heat.
I don't think he's going to need to box. He's just at the fastest lap of the race. So I don't know what do we know what happened to him on lap 1? I know obviously we had that initial contact, but then he just seemed to lose pace on the Kemmel Straight, maybe due to a slowdown.
Or it could just, I mean, if you don't have the momentum coming up the hill, it's amazing the difference. Even a lift, like in the IMSA this week, even if you have to lift for a GT3, you can lose 2 positions by the end of the Kemmel Straight, just that relative pace loss. But it may well have been, if he's being sent out that far, yes, a slowdown. Then it is difficult to serve with all the AMs coming through, and very difficult to serve. Like we were talking about before, as the broadcast fired up, it's very difficult to serve those slowdowns.
so do not rule out Manto 1bet. 12th place currently overall in the NMDHs.
This off-track facility, I think 3rd through 10th had an off-track this lap.
That was, albeit the off-track system judges it by the white lines, whereas of course iRacing will judge it by, usually it's the edge of the red and white curve, isn't it? So not necessarily every single time it comes up, as Mac is off the circuits. That was a huge slide. That's not what you want at the start of the race. It's not going to give you a lot of confidence for the next 55 minutes.
No, and it won't help. The time model in iRacing is quite strict in its sense. Once you start heating it up, it takes even longer to come back to you. He did well, though, to back out there, because if you carry that speed into that apex that you usually branch onto, if you hit the beginning of it, it's almost like a jump, especially in these cars, the front will bottom out, as I found out twice. I don't want to talk about it.
In the LMP3s, we've still got Remy Fortin. Well, sorry, I say we've still got. Remy Fortin is leading the way in the LMP3s. Look at this. He is up ahead of Dan Sedgwick. He's been able to make that move. And for me, anticipating that Fortin might be dropping down, considering his race pace last time out at Fuji, anything but. That Ligier is firing on all cylinders. And he's the man to beat right now. Sedgley for Olympus Esports, who won last time out. He's hounding him right behind. Adam Stade still a bit detached, losing time. But he has got now about half a second over Hansen and Stevens and Klistenko.
Chat's asking what the instant limit is. Do you know? For
20.
Oof, for an hour?
For an hour.
I'm glad I'm commentating. I picked up 15 in my last race, and they're 45. No, this was fixed.
Oh, is that even short?
I don't actually know if it's 30 or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of pressure for the drivers. I mean, it's all about those early laps, isn't it? Whereas, like, if you can just if you can keep it at like 2 for the first 20 minutes, you're like, easy stuff for the rest of the race.
For sure.
But it's when you're on 10 within 3 laps of the race that you're keeping an eye on it throughout.
Yeah, as your tyres go off as well later in the race, if these guys are going to no tyre straight, it's easy to track out over and over again. Just thank God iRacing doesn't allow you to get 2 in a small amount. A 2 in a small amount of time. That is one facility I do like about iRacing. That, for example, Rennsport we saw today, it doesn't have. If you track out of one corner and come on late to the next one, you do get 2, not 1.
Yeah.
We're seeing Busby with almost an 8-second lead, so it'd be interesting to know what happened to, is it Favaro? He was P2 by a few tenths.
Yeah, well, on our time screen at the moment, the AMs are coming up ahead of the pros, so not entirely sure why that's happening. But I think now it's balanced itself out.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's
so,
Smith.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Smith still running in P2, and with the fastest lap of the race that last time out for Smith. This could even be a move, potentially, as they plunge down the hill, passing the Evo SR car of Kev Copeland, who I think clearly had a setback. He's already has to come to the pits, as Copeland will not be able to get to the end of the race as well. From this point, those LMP3s are going to have to get to the 15-minute mark in order to do that. But Smith now being able to use that extra bit of battery power, if he's been able to save it up, he's not going to be able to get past into Leikun, but he's very close. Doesn't need to get a whole lot closer to that in order to take the lead.
Yeah, we're seeing QT not make... You were right with that early lap, but I don't know if he just is struggling with something right now, but I expect him to be picking off these, because the gaps are quite close. Very close. He just doesn't seem to be making it happen right now. So he could be nursing a problem, just making it work for him. It might just be limiting his overtaking ability.
Well, car looks very clean, which, considering he was torpedoed at
Yes.
100 mile an hour, is a miracle. Don't know what's going on there with the damage model, but yeah. He's got a bit of clean air, so like his pace is reflective of what he can do. He's not being held up right now. But yeah, you would think surely he'll be in 5 minutes time and go long for the rest of the race.
Nice.
Get some clean air and see what he can do with a completely fresh car. And I think we might have a replay of exactly what happened to him earlier.
Oh God.
So it was Turoshki then. He was the one who collided with him.
Yeah, he's not going for the lead. He's just trying to win that 3 wide and be the latest on the brakes. And Look, unfortunately, I don't know how QT's still in the race.
Oh no.
It was
So two of the Evo cars being wiped out. Oh no! And Kraft's just going straight, and Kraft with a C that is, he's going to have absolutely no idea this has gone on.
Yeah, he's right behind another LMDH. He would not have known the slowdown. The guy was serving the slowdown.
And then this was the slight incident that I saw earlier on, and then a couple of cars colliding. Is that
Teammates again?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh,
Oh dear, and that was Nathan Willoughby making contact. So I think that was after Willoughby actually got caught out by that chicane incident right at the end of the previous lap, and then has maybe been a bit distracted. So, well, a lot of incidents so far in our LMDHs. We kind of got away with just one of them back at Fuji at the chicane, but that's a few of them. I feel particularly bad for Kev Copeland and Joseph Saul.
that slowdown, the slowdown was served well. He was on the brakes. He was a computer side, but the guy was completely following, and once he moved out of the way, might have been a good strat. Move out of the way late and let the guy behind you plough.
We've seen that in real life. I mean, I think there was a Super Formula race. Or was it Super Formula? Maybe, no, Super GT, I think it may have been at Fuji, where there was a colossal crash. Probably one of the biggest crashes you'll ever see. Yeah, car coming up to lap, pulls out right at the last moment, the other car hits it, and they do barrel rolls at 200 miles an hour near the end of the straight at Fuji. Fortunately, everyone walked away from that incident. It's probably one of the most impressive kind of motorsport safety crashes you'll ever see. Bob Humphrey, after a bit of a setback for Humphrey actually, because he's behind Kliss. I'm not sure what happened to him earlier on, because he was with the likes of States and Hansen earlier on. Yep. He is just trying to recover one of these places, and I think that'll come up very soon, because he's got very much Kliss in his sights.
And we're seeing, you mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Aaron Smith is now leading in LMDH Pro. He got all Budsby, so we hopefully get to see that. The lead change. These LMP3s look fun here. I don't know if I think I have done a race. Yeah, I have done a race in LMP3. A lot of fun. But that was in a fixed setup. These guys aren't running high wing. These guys are running... Yeah, I'd say... Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping medium to low, to be honest, just so you can make the moves done. I'd rather survive the corners, but have a car that I could make moves with.
We've got some drivers coming through. I think that is Aaron Smith just behind, actually. He's trying to make his way through at the moment. Is that Aaron Smith?
No, we got Brom.
I mean the...
Oh, the red car.
Yeah, the red car. Just making his way through. Yeah, it is Aaron Smith. Moving his way through, so you can see Busby in that effect car just a couple of seconds behind, and he's going to lose a little bit of time through Huon, but not too much of a disadvantage for him. And then the likes of Ferrari, Villela, Wilson, Nucera, all spreading out at the moment. We should, of course, congratulate Ferrari, still the LMDH AM leader at this point of the race.
Yeah, a nice gap, and really only a two-horse race in that class at the moment. But you know, it's a long. Oh, that's the track out point that you just saw the LMP3 take that an LMDH must not, because the front bottoms out, your rear lifts up off the ground. It gets very dangerous very quickly. I tested it in an official race.
Oh yeah. I mean that's
for content.
That's why you're here. Like that's the type of community service that you're aiming to do. Yeah, there's a lot of these curves around this place. Certainly Puon, the exit Puon is always the one that I think of. Here is maybe Fortin, and this is still, I mean, nose to tail. Fortin taking the lead earlier on against Dan Sedgley. But one could argue being in second place in this scenario is the better place to be. You're saving fuel. Maybe you're not having to push quite as hard because you're being dragged along by the car ahead.
Yep.
And so, Sedgley, when it comes to the pit stops, might be able to get ahead. But at the same time, if a bit of traffic comes across these guys and a bit of a gap is formed, then the draft can be broken. Fortin might be able to make a break for it.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. It can help, especially if you can follow close enough. You find that any traffic that does get around you has to get around you both at the same time. So you almost get a free ride. But yeah, no, I agree. The more you can follow, especially this closely, You can underdrive the car. You can save a ton of fuel, especially at Spa. There's plenty of downhill, long sweeping corners you can just clutch in, or just... I think clutch works in this car. Anyway, just, yeah, lift and roll.
There has been a change for third position in the pros. Villela is battling with Wilson. I think those two are still alongside. Here we go. Dupuon, a little bit off the circuit. That might be a 1x, but he doesn't care too much. If it gets him track position, this will very much be worth it. And is Villela marginally ahead of Wilson. Now he tries to carry the speed through the second part of Lefania, and he is still ahead. In fact, I think that is a proper move for position then for Villela, ahead of Wilson. Lucero will be next up, and then we've got Philip Kraft, who's had a phenomenal start, and he is chasing down these guys as well. This could get very, very complex when they get on the brakes for the bus stop.
Some great racing though, some great side-by-side action there. Let's see, this is going to go side-by-side behind for sure. Outside line can be advantageous if you can hold it and get the left close, which he does not, so no, it's just going to have to follow.
Or was there contact? I think that was contact, because they're not exiting the corner. There they are. I was waiting for them to appear, and they never did. Beer Chauvel gaining some places from that one, and now they're all right with one another. Beer Chauvel, Nucera, Madsen, Wilson, all on top of one another, going into La Source at the moment. And it looks like, out of all of this, I believe it's Vilbrink who's at the front of this chain, but still they've got LMP3s to make their way through as well. Someone might be held up at the top of Radion. Here we go, and they're going to have to go miles off the circuit in order to be able to make that move. Yeah, going that far out, that's risking it, isn't it?
It's how late you come back as well, I believe. They're going to have a rolling slowdown race. Wow, though, navigating the LMP3s at that point in the track, I'm just shocked everyone got through well. But yeah, we're seeing some great door-to-door control and action. It was a bit of a shame if there was contact there. I always find if you can't hold the outside, which you can do in these cars, you can't go for the apex, like, because you know the car that's clear has to, like, you can't hang the outside line there.
Off spin for Joshua Wilson. What a dreadful couple of laps for Wilson. And the Swedish driver with significant damage. That's the part of the circuit that they've had to create an alternative layout for the motorbikes, which sort of demonstrates just how close the walls are for that. But no, you're absolutely right about that. And of course, if you're on the inside going into that second part, then you're going to have a shorter line. So you've got a shorter distance, so you're naturally going to be able to pull alongside. But obviously, when you're starting to turn into the corner, you are fully behind. So yeah, I absolutely agree. You need to be giving up on that occasion.
Yeah, no, you can. It's definitely a move that's on if you can brake late enough and keep hold of the front of the car. We're going to see a 3 wide of splitting the the poor LMP3s. This is going to be a good side by side. Let's see. Around the outside can be done as long as you get over to the left. Yeah, clean. Now it's easy to make the move done. Focus on your exit, and you are good.
That's Nucera making back some places after losing out on the previous lap, or having some issues earlier on actually. I think he had an issue very early on the race, but yeah, he's still 1 place up higher than he was at the start. Ali Hunt now down 1 place from his race start.
Just trying to check in with QT. Is he boxed or where is he?
He has boxed. Yes.
Yes. 23 seconds.
So 23 seconds. That's, I guess, 2 tyres. Or is that 4 tyres?
I'm gonna this time answer with I don't know. I was wrong last time.
Let us know in chat if you have any ideas. I think that's only 2 tyres, right? So I don't think it's that short. Also, Joshua Wilson coming into the pit, so he had damage, and after that instant he spun it by himself pretty much through no-name corner, and he's only stationed for 18 seconds, which sounds like, well, that's definitely 2 tyres. Maybe Marte took 3. But he's top of the drivers who have taken a proper pit stop as Marte. And we will keep an eye on his lap times. You can check out the live timing link in the description below. You may need to add a 1 to the end of the URL just to make sure that works. ARL prototypes 1 in order to get that live timing to work.
That's the bottoming out area that we're seeing drivers struggle with. Are they teammates making a tactical swap there?
Humphrey up ahead of Copeland now.
So we're not really going to know how QT is doing from anywhere up to 20 or 25 minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Well, the gap is currently 50 seconds, and he was, what, like 10 seconds behind earlier on? So,
8, 9 seconds, yeah.
yeah, so if he can get it down to 40 seconds, then he'll be leading, I think, is the logic. But obviously, you know, this is assuming that they're all going to be on the same strategy,
Yeah.
so it could change that. But I think we've got some more replays now. Ooh, wow, Pedro Valencia spinning and Ben Cullen being able to avoid miraculously.
This is the Joshua battle, yeah.
Yeah, this is Wilson involved. And yeah, he really had to work for this one. He ended up coming out second best, but
Yeah.
it's
hard to hold the outside here, very hard. It just, you run out of grip on the exit, and then
and then this was the over-ambitious move.
yeah, no, no. You're always going to end up in trouble yourself doing that. It's a closing gap. If you get alongside, woof, overheated tyres, I assume. Oh, now we've got a Peugeot on the track. Oh, this is where he gets the move done, around the outside. Look at this. It is terrific when this feeling happens, when you now this entry here, because now it's a free position. There's nothing the other guy can do to defend that. Some great replays there, some great driving.
Yes, yes, real good driving to bookmark that one. Still Aaron Smith, by the way, leading by 1.3 seconds, and Remy Fortin leading in the LMP3s. Adam State 3.8 seconds behind. Hansen as well, maintaining that gap. So those top four, whilst the top two were able to pull away in the early stages, third and fourth have been able to maintain the gap really for the past 10, 15 minutes. And so that one is very much a four-way battle, so as Dan said, he has to get on the brakes fairly early in order to avoid disrupting the LMDH ahead. And if Sedgley wanted to overtake here, he could very much get alongside, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily in his interest right now.
No, like you say, 22 minutes of following someone, that's Rennsport. If they're trying, it's a chunk of fuel. Maybe we can listen. If we go quiet, we might be able to hear if he listens. Lifts. A little bit. I would have expected his fuel saving to lift a lot earlier than that, but it could be a delay on the iRacing audio. It's notorious in replay mode. Let's see. It's going to be a long race. We know Dan Sedgley's got winning pace.
And Mac Mafarquhar has come into the pits. This is going to be a 24-second pit stop for him. So we've had some 23, 24-second pit stops. We've had some 16, 17, 18-second pit stops.
Yep.
They seem to be the two groups that are forming into. For those who aren't aware of the car, you can take fuel and tyres simultaneously. So you may as well take tyres usually, because, well, last time out, I think the minimum amount of fuel you could take was about 8 seconds. Tyres, or 2 tyres, that'll take you probably like 13 seconds or so. And so it can often be worth sort of taking 13 seconds of fuel and maybe starting with a little bit less, or just making sure that you use all the fuel whilst you're racing in the first stint, and take the 2 tyres. Or you could just push it long in the first stint, take a minimum pit stop at your pit stop, and yeah, come out in a good position. That's what happened to Dan Kraft last time. He finished in second place, so it is a very possible thing to do.
I mean, his pace was tumbling at the end of the race, but that pit stop strategy gave him the gap that he needed to pull this off. But yeah, we are seeing a great battle in LMP3, 4 seconds separating the top 4 after 25 minutes. That's great. And I do feel like pit strategy is going to play a big role in their battle. Whereas LMDH, let's check him. QT is currently 52 back. So, but we have to remember Aaron Smith is, QT is on high fuel. Right now he's back to maximum fuel, whereas people like Aaron and Paul and Favaro are running their tanks down now, tyres up to nice temperature, and they'll be setting the pace. So QT's gap doesn't necessarily have to tumble. He just needs to keep his pace on and know the car's going to come to him later on. Now he has a repaired car.
The issue there has just got past Kraft. That's for P4. out of the NMDH Pros. Chauvel, a driver who we're not totally familiar with, is a nice name to say though. So I'm very much a big fan of that, if I'm saying it correctly. That's it's a big if.
I like the way you're saying it, so.
Chauvel.
Chauvel. Yeah, I like that.
Isja as well. It's quite a cool first name as well. Yeah, I mean we're easily pleased as commentators. The gaps are generally starting to spread out a little bit now. We've got, of course, yeah, Chauvel, which is passing Kraft, but you'd expect that one to open up. Then Vilbrink, Madsen, and Zofoli in a fight. We've got Loy, Mafakwa, and Kraft also having a fight as we tune in with this fight. And a couple of Porsche liveried Porsches going alongside, and that is 3 for Mac, who has taken a pit stop already, so expect Lloyd to lose a few more because these guys are only behind him because they've already taken a pit stop in this race.
Yeah, this is the catch-22. Obviously, you're not warranted a blue flag just because you pitted and are faster than someone. So this is the downside of the strategy before, as always, because yeah, you might have been 15 seconds ahead of these guys. You're a lot quicker than them, but you do have to pass them like it's for position. Well, it is for position. As we see Paul Busby, 1.4 seconds off Smith, but Smith has been, I mean, we say QT got taken out, but Aaron Smith has set the fastest lap. His pace has been brilliant. He's broken the draft to Paul. He's pulled out a, what was that, a 7-second lead over P3. So as long as he's chosen the right strategy, which we'll find out at the end, I think he can nail this. I'm sure QT's going to get a lot of positions, but I don't know if Aaron Smith's on the menu.
It might be too far. At the moment, and we were talking about 50 seconds, it's now 52 seconds. Mate has taken a little bit out in the last couple of laps, but we want it to be down to about 40. You do make an absolute correct point there. The fuel will be costing Mate in these stages at the moment, but if he can keep it at 50 seconds, that'll be 10 seconds to make up in the closing stages. And even for the 5-time ARL champion, that is Thiago Mate, that might be too much for him to catch. James Ibrahim is currently catching a car. And we've also got a little bit of side-by-side. That was a couple of Olympus cars moving on. So one in LMP3 and one in LMDH. Because Stevenson is trying to get past. And this is actually for position against the LMP3s because he's had setbacks so far, has Stevenson, having had a 3.5-minute pit stop earlier on.
He's going to get this done. Yeah.
I think that's unlapping himself, isn't it? Against one of the LMTHs.
Yeah, I believe so. Oh, we've had 2 more pits in LMDH. I just missed him at the corner of my eye. Nucera and Lorenzo. I can't say the second name.
Zofoli.
Zofoli,
I believe.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Again, big, I believe. Thomas Cope, very much supporting his Olympus teammates. Supporting Sedgley at the moment. And, Sedgley just a little bit away now from 4th, but still with a very good chance to make it 2 wins in a row. SC Swash, where are Effect? Well, Effect are doing very well right now. Up there in 2nd place with Paul Busby right now. So
Whoop, whoop.
they will be fairly happy with that and looking like they could well get their first race win of the season if Busby can keep up this strong form. You can't see him on the timing tower, unfortunately, right now, but he is there in that 2nd place.
Yeah, I believe he's 1.6 seconds behind. He did have the lead after the T1 incident, which he maintained for a couple of laps, but I think it was first time through the traffic, and then, yeah, I think Smith capitalised and got the move done.
I think Madsen has been involved in this battle with Vilbrink and Hunt for forever, seemingly. These guys are so evenly matched. Hunt was a 2nd faster. Hunt's had a little bit of an odd race where Ali's actually down some places. He did start ahead of these guys, but you wouldn't guess it by his last lap time. 59.4, which was pretty much maybe the 5th fastest lap of anyone on that last tour of the circuit. Only behind the likes of Smith, Busby, Ferrari, who are leading the race. even he was even faster than Ferrari on that last time. So he is very much coming back at these drivers. Aaron Smith has come into the pits now. Maybe Smith wasn't taking so much fuel. Maybe that is a little bit why he had such good pace. And that is excellent news for Paul Busby.
I'm not sure you'd short your fuel. You get it for free if you start the race. I get you get better speed with less fuel, but...
Well, the only thing is that maybe he's taking 2 tyres, and so he's thinking, well, I may as well take 13 seconds worth of fuel rather than 8 seconds of fuel, seeing that I'm going to be stationary for 13 seconds due to the tyres anyway. Could that be the logic, maybe?
I would need a notepad and pen. I don't know. I've never taken fuel at the start of a race because you get it for free.
I'm wrong clearly because he's he's currently sat down. Oh, he hasn't sped, has he? Come on, Aaron, you can't do this to me. Oh man.
Yeah, he's gone long.
Sped.
Yeah, we're going to see 50. Yeah.
I mean,
in his defence.
Well, no, he's got back going now, so it wasn't a. I don't think that's a penalty, right? Because a penalty is like 40 seconds.
Penalty is 40, yeah.
So. He's only been held for an extra, like, 15, 20 seconds.
I don't think even 4 tyres is that slow. Though.
No, 4 tyres should be like.
Plus, he wasn't up on the jacks.
Well, yeah, he was on the jacks. You see, I think he took 2 tyres. He was on the jacks for a little while, and then he got back down. So.
Maybe he didn't have fuel tick. Like I'm stretching here, but maybe. Quite literally didn't have the begin fuel intake. Took his tyres, it dropped back down, noticed. No fuel had gone in. I'm stretching here. I think it's more likely it was a speeding penalty.
I remember QT Marteau bought me some biscuits one time, and Aaron Smith stole those biscuits from me. I think he may have been stuffing his face with biscuits.
I like that idea best. Okay, you win.
I think that may have been what's happened.
Now, I will say one of the things I really struggled with in LMDHs this week was everything to do with the pit phase, stopping before the line and missing the guy. I missed my pit stall guy twice, just because you're used to these cars having... They're great at everything you do, but when you're travelling 80 kph down the pit lane, you've got no downforce. As soon as you touch the brake, you're on 40% brake, all the car does is all 4-tyre lock and slide. Very tricky. It took some adapting. It took a lot of adapting this week.
Here is the man who brought me some very nice Dutch biscuits and the man who stole them from me. Marteau in 7th position, ahead of Smith. These two are good friends. They will not crash with one another. I can almost guarantee that. They went bowling with one another.
Wow. And there's no such thing as a commentator's curse, right?
There's no such thing as a commentator's curse. I mean, we would see a friendship being ended right now if Smith hit Marteau. I think that's maybe why he let him go not so harshly, but that demonstrates how much time Marteau has to make up. Or has to make up on Busby, I mean, that Smith had that awful pit stop, lost 15 odd seconds, and Marteau still only even with him. But, I mean, that's one down for Marteau. But Busby now, 7 seconds clear. It's difficult to imagine Paul Busby not winning this race right now.
Yeah, who could have predicted that?
You could have predicted it.
No, I said Paul, I didn't say win.
I mean, we'll take it.
No, we'll take it, yeah.
Sergio Ferreira has just come into the pits as well in the LMDHs. Still waiting for pit stops in the LMP3s. Well, to be fair, Tom Stevens actually did pit fairly recently, so he has got his pit stop done. I think Stevens and maybe Humphrey as well. Copeland's actually come into the pits twice, so to a Saul. So actually we have had a fair few LMP3s, but our top 6 are still yet to pit, and I think pretty much everyone who's had a clean race in the LMP3s are yet to pit so far. And I'm still trying to cut that gap down. It's not quite happening, but still all 4 of them in the same shots on that pit straight.
Yes, indeed. Mark in chat is mentioning that a penalty is only 15 seconds if you don't get serviced. But I have never seen...
He did get service though. We saw him on the tracks.
I've often thought that I wanted to try it one time. Is serve the 15 if you sped, right? And drive forward an inch, reverse an inch with the jack guy taking it. And would you not be DQ'd for reversing? Because it's such a small distance. I've always wondered this. I've never... I was about to say never sped in pit lane. I've never had the balls to try it.
Yeah.
To literally untick fuel, no tyres, don't service me. I'll serve my 15, I'll drive forward an inch, reverse an inch. Okay, I'll take fuel, please. I'm new here. I don't know. I'll try it.
I mean, from what I could see, it looked like Smith came into his pit stall, went up on the jacks for 13 seconds, and then was sat off the jacks 20 seconds. So I'm pretty sure he took service before anything else,
Yeah,
basically. So
I think if it isn't a speeding penalty, then I do think he just didn't have fuel in it. So he's been sat there taking his tyres, waiting and waiting and waiting, and then he's noticed the issue, stuck the fuel on, and now he has to wait for the 30, 40 litres he needs, 50 litres he needs. Either way, it looks like he's blown the lead.
yeah. Bad news for him. He's also been overtaken by, well, he hasn't been overtaken by Coulson in progress. Marteau has passed Coulson. That means that there's now a car between Marteau and Smith. You see they are in 4th and 5th. Marteau 50 seconds off the lead, and we think it's going to be about 40 seconds for Busby to take a pit stop. 8 seconds the gap between the top two, but Andrea Villela is faster than Ferrari and Busby right now, half a second faster on that last tour of the circuit. He might even consider coming in early in order to avoid any requirement to have a fight. And so, you know, whilst this one doesn't look like it's a thing on the timing tag, it looks like Ferrari's just leading the way, but the drivers do score points for their overall position in their car class. And so there is a motivation for Ferrari, even as an amateur driver, to stay ahead of Villela, if he possibly can.
And we're seeing that...
Ooh, what's going on there?
Adam State's in the pits. I was just about to say Thomas has passed Adam, but Adam has now come into the pits a lap later. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think QT's going to come into... I think he's got 4th already. I think once everyone's pits, I think he's 4th.
I think you're right.
With probably 7 or 8 seconds, and that's going to be frightening for those guys.
Let us know what position you think Thiago Marteau is going to finish. I'll go 2nd right now. I think it's going to be Busby and Marteau.
Yeah, I think he can get P2. I mean, after the pit stop phase, I think he's going to be in P4. I think he's running net P4, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
A few more drivers coming into the pits. Hunt, by the way, has already pitted, so this is a legit fight between him and Marteau, basically for that 4th position as it stands right now, and could turn into 2nd place later on in the race. And by the way, when we say 2nd place and 4th place, we mean the overall position. Let's say just in class. Taroshki, wow. That was nearly his nose cut off. It's not been a good time for Blaž Taroshki, and dare I say, I think the most obvious penalty I think we've ever seen in Apex Racing League history is coming his way, because he wiped out Thiago Marteau on turn 1, lap 1, and so he will definitely have a post-race penalty. And that will
sound pretty sure.
Earn him points for a qualifying ban as well, potentially in later rounds of the season. So yeah, it's not a good day for Taroshki, our championship leader.
So we are seeing that it looks like Ali Hunt didn't take tyres, whereas QT we know took 2. Pretty sure it's 2 based on the numbers. So yeah, not only is QT quicker with lap times, he's also got the fresher tyres. So I think once he's got this done and we see the pit stops come through, I haven't stopped seeing this off-track thing fire. I think we're going to see some change of positions in all classes near the end of the race. Because right now, yeah, maybe they're making a couple of tactical ones, or they're using them like we've seen to get around LMDHs, but later in the race are the ones that you don't mean to make, the mistakes.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know what the exact off-tracks are at the moment. We are just waiting to see what the iRacing sim gives us, and yeah, see what happens. Although, so our system judges it by the white line, so that's why you might see the red coming up a lot of the time.
Yeah, okay.
But a lot of those reds are legitimate off-tracks as well. Ben Cullen, next driver into the pits. We've now got the top 6 in the LMDHs yet to come into the pits. That's the top 3 in each of the Pro and the Abs are yet to come into the pits for this race. And it's just a one-stopper in these hour-long races. Next up, we'll be doing a 75-minute race, so that might be a little bit of a change. But yeah, for this round at least, nice and easy. One stop, one change of tyres for some drivers.
Yeah, 75, so is that 2 stop?
I think it should just about be 1 stop still, because you'd have to get to 38 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, seeing that we saw guys go 50 minutes at Fuji, should be easy enough.
That's going to be brilliant.
And we have had Well, we've still got a couple more of our LMP3s to come into the pits as well. So you just see Villela there in second position. So Villela actually ahead of Favaro. I'm not sure if we saw that one, but Villela has been able to get past Favaro. So he is now second place. Now you may think he's always been second place now. Well, he's been second place out of the pros, but he's now second place out of all of the LMDHs. So nice move there from Villela, and he's now nearly 9 seconds off the lead. And here's some replays of some action which has happened in the last few minutes. So this is the thing that I
Is that Cullen and Humphrey? Couldn't avoid.
think it may have been Robinson who spun. And yeah, Cullen trying to avoid him.
Oh, as we see some more LMP3s, looks like it's time for the
top
LMP3
two
split.
in the LMP3s. I
Four.
mean, Sedgley's already come into the pits. We're looking for 15 or 16 seconds for these guys. Fortan, 17 seconds. That's going to lose him a bit of time. He might be under pressure from States when he comes out. Hansen, 16 seconds. So it looks like Sedgley's going to be able to take back the lead.
Yeah, I think Hansen's going to be third. I think he had actually got State a lap before they pitted.
Oh, it's going to be tight between Fortan and Sedgley.
It is indeed.
Is Fortan ahead? No,
Just didn't
not
have the
quite.
momentum.
Sedgley's just about there, but that is a race. That is definitely a race. Now, those two were very close to one another beforehand. Fortan leading the way. Sedgley was about a second behind, but he's been able to make up that gap with a slightly shorter pit stop. But here comes Fortan. Look at the speed he's got. He's maybe got a little bit of a draft as well from the LMDH. And from gaining the position to losing the positions, he is gaining it back. But the Olympus Esports driver is keen to hold on to this race lead.
Oh, wow.
And I think he is going to be able to do it. Round the outside through the second part of Lecumbe, through Malmedy, and a little bit of contact now as well for Fortan. And that has dropped him back. And what a change of position. Sedgley is now the one who leads by a second.
Yeah, Fortan, something happened, cost him a second. It could have just been Sedgley's fuel saving behind Fortan for the majority of the race. That gave him that second that set this up. You can say the traffic was unlucky, but it's how they manage the traffic and get in that position just before the traffic split them. That's what multi-class racing's about. As he flashes the lights to thank him for the nudge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they both got nudged.
Yeah,
so I think it was fair. They've now got Hansen 3.7 seconds behind. State's actually lost a lot of time. I think State may have had an issue on this lap, perhaps.
Yeah, we're 11 seconds down.
So yeah, not sure. It's although he was quite far behind going into the pit stop as well, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think something happened a lap or two before they pitted, because I saw Thomas get by, and then we saw Adam pit. So whether it was to cool his tyres, not sure.
So State really wanted to close back the gap against Sedgley for the championship. Those two were so evenly matched last time. That was a spin actually midway through the race, which really could cost State the race away in at Fuji, or a good chance at it at least. And was keen to bounce back, but it looks like he's not going to be able to finish on the rostrum after an hour of racing as it stands.
Yeah, as we see, yeah, QT is still behind Ali. With those better tyres, it's obviously quite tricky.
These two, although, are faster than the race leader. On that last lap, Hunt was 8 tenths faster.
Oh, I'm seeing that, yeah.
So they are bringing it back. The gap now, 48 seconds. I keep on hammering home the idea that it's going to be 40 seconds stationary. I might be wrong. Busby may only be, if he doesn't take tyres, it may only be 30 seconds that he's stationary. So, you know, it's up for him.
The other thing you lose is that momentum up the hill. You're coming out of pit road doing a quarter of the speed your opponent's doing. If you're going to be close, you want to be the guy who is not coming out of pit road, because it's very hard to defend. Yeah, I think Paul can make this work. It's the end 9-second buffer to Villa. He does have to pit, but I think we expect him to have at least 9 seconds minimum ahead of this Ali QT pack, maybe even 10 to be honest.
Yeah. Bavari, Kraft and Vilpink all into the pits. Now, is that a sign that they're really getting to the limit now of this fuel? We're about 5 minutes short of what we managed at Fuji, but this might be a little bit of a higher fuel consumption circuit. Someone's overshot their pit stall. I think that might be Vilpink.
So easy to do.
Yeah.
Maybe 20% of my races this week were either doing it or nearly doing it.
I think that's one of the most unsatisfying parts of sim racing. Like, I guess I like it's quite a frustrating thing when you're on the F1 games and it's kind of takes you in and you don't have much control. But I sort of just wish that they'd take control because you never feel good about nailing your pit stall, I think, unless maybe if you're leading the way and you're nervous about it. But anyway, Marte is only just ahead of Kraft. So Kraft just coming out of the pits there. And if he wants to go for it, he will be very close. But he's still 0.2 of a second behind. Not a big braking zone into Lacombe in these cars. And so Marte stays there.
Sorry, we're seeing Thomas Hansen come into the pits again.
Okay.
He is showing us 10th. His pit stops, I assume this is damage. Yeah, he's been in the pits a minute 15.
He could have towed as well, maybe. Kev Copeland's making his 3rd pit stop of the race. Really frustrating for him.
Okay, so we've got some replays. What have we got here? Is this the Sedgley, who is it, Sedgley and... Fortin move. This was brilliant.
I mean, that was a nice run as well. Like, you don't want to catch at Radion, do you?
Correct.
But he was just about passing him on the kink, and that's a nice place to be able to get past. But it wasn't enough for him because he was so confident, Sedgley, through Lacombe.
Yeah, very well handled. So we've got State. Oh, so this is why Thomas parked, or the massive gap was built.
A bit like Giovinazzi a few seasons ago, I think.
Oh, well remembered, yeah.
Where Russell wheel came off and destroyed George Russell's car on that day. I think that was a very dull race. I think that's the only thing that anyone remembers from that one. Villela is into the pits. Busby as well has also come into the pits, so this is reflective now.
Here we go.
Because everyone has come into the pits. Busby, 22nd stationary, so he took at least 2 tyres. Villela 17 and Ferrari 18. Marte still in P4. That's pretty much where we expected, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're seeing Ali Hunt in the pit again. Could be a drive-through, maybe, if we could see the camera.
Or
no.
Maybe his first pit stop was so early, Hunt, that he had to pit again for fuel. I thought it was late enough, honestly.
I did.
Oh no. Okay, maybe it's a bit more serious.
Okay.
That's a shame. He had a fantastic pace.
He did. He was holding off QT there. So QT is now free, and as we guessed 4th, but we would have been wrong because Ali Hunt.
One of the Evo cars is in the wheel. That is Bob Humphrey. Man, bad day for Evo SR.
It is very bad day. They had the coming together.
Yeah, on the formation lap. Yeah.
Yeah, caused by what looked like a pre-start, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it looked like that way. I think it was Brian Robinson who went into them. Not 100% sure about that one. But, or maybe Kevin Smith.
So QT is 13 back off pole. So we was 2 seconds out. It wasn't bad for just wildly guessing. Oh, here we're going to see, is this a replay of Bob? Yeah, this is a replay of Bob Humphrey. What happened? And it looks like no tyres left. Tricky corner though. If things do go wrong, opening up your wheel isn't an option because you're driving towards the wall. So this is usually the outcome, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more gravel nowadays around there. I think the barrier may have been pushed back as well in real life. And when I said there's a bit more gravel there, I mean there's a bit more tarmac there nowadays. So it would be a little bit easier, but yeah, it's weird, this circuit, because they brought in a bunch of tarmac, and then of course they've replaced a bunch of it with gravel. So of course now on the outside of Pouon, where we're going through now, that's all gravel nowadays.
Odd. But don't bring that to iRacing.
Yeah, like, we'll see if we can get the knee scan. Personally, I don't really care too much about these knee scans. It's the same track basically, and it's not necessarily a better version of it. But the graphics look nice at least.
It's very true.
For example, big upgrade.
Oh, it's a beautiful looking circuit.
It really is. It's actually now 3.6 seconds clear of the rest. Shall we do a last question? See if we can revive your career here, David. What was the question? I'm trying to not... Oh, okay, here we go. This is quite a tough question, actually. This might be the toughest one. What year did Spa use a slow chicane at Eau Rouge in order to slow the cars down. There was a big crash in the season prior, which forced them to make the change. They made the change, I think, for all categories, but certainly Formula 1 was one of them, but I think it was all categories for 1 year before thinking, nah, we don't need to make this change, let's change it back. What year was it that they made that change? Let's have a chance. But maybe hang on for 20 seconds so you can give the answer to
That's right, I won't read chat. You know, a year did pop into my head, but I have no...
I think it'll make sense, the year. It will make sense.
It will?
Yeah. Like, quite a bigger motorsport event happened.
It must have been when I was young. I don't know.
I'm sure Alex Simpson, who's watching...
Thanks. I'm going to go with 96.
Oh, man, he keeps on getting close, doesn't he? It was 94, obviously. So...
Okay, what was the reason?
Well, there was I'm not exactly who crashed in 1993, but they crashed. And of course, that was also the year that, of course, Senna passed away. And so, yeah, they were installing these slow chicanes at Barcelona and
Right.
for that season. I would say that was a tough one. And the fact that you got so close, I think is a decent effort.
All right, I have a question. I'm going to get you to ask it. Yeah.
I mean, this is honestly...
No, you're going to get this.
Yeah.
You're going to get this.
We
just covered it. Do you know what the date Senna passed away? Well,
oh man, I honestly don't know that.
Well, I can give you a hint.
I'll have to guess. I can guess like the month.
Mhm.
I guess it was that's since I was making contact. Trying to buy myself a bit of time. May, right?
correct. Go for the day.
9.
No, it was my birthday. That's how I know. Unfortunately, my favourite driver when I was young. May 1st.
May 1st. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad birthday, that one. But I was very young.
You were very
Very young.
yeah. Not quite yet a Senna fan, I imagine. Madsen, I think, was able to make that move on Wilson, but he hasn't completely got it done. These two have been glued to one another for, I think, the whole race. Madsen always does attract the most action during a race. He pulled off one of the best overtakes last time out at Fuji when he was in the middle, 4 wide. And some of these moves are rivaling that as well. But Wilson, with the power, maybe just using a little bit of extra battery, you think, there to get the power?
Maybe these guys are. I just leave it in balance the whole race, and I put it on attack on the last. But I am new to these car classes, so I would be interested to know if, oh, as we can see, can he hold it? He did, but he won't get the exit. Doing that is fine, but A, you're not going to exit, B, you're on the wrong side of the track. I don't think so. I don't think they are using it because it costs too much for the rest of the lap. Spa is such a long lap that you can't even hold on to your higher peak performance for more than a lap anyway. You're pretty much running at minimum for the entirety of the race.
Oh, here we go. No, I thought he was going to go alongside Eau Rouge. Seen plenty of iconic moments there. And now Madsen will start the charge once again, and this is where he was able to make the move on the previous lap as well. And again, they're going to come within a paper width of one another, and these are wide cars around the narrow part of the circuit. But Madsen carrying fantastic corner speed, a little bit of contact that can always spell disaster. And these guys are fighting so hard that they've invited David Vey and Josu Alzugare to this fight. The four of them separated by about a second right now. They've got 11 seconds back to Sigray and 7 seconds up to Nucera. So they are completely by themselves. And I'm sure if they can win out of these four, it would feel like a race victory in itself.
Yeah, this is a great battle. It almost looks like we're seeing here Nick running the low aero configuration, and Josh, is that behind? Running more high, because Josh does seem to dominate in the corners and under braking, but Nick has got a very slippery car on the straights. Yeah, what a battle. The door saw action, especially in LMDH, from what we've seen on the broadcast, has been phenomenal.
Ooh, what's happened there? Someone's gone wide.
Well, this is our leader, isn't it? Well, our old leader, Smith.
Yeah,
Craft,
of course, yeah. That feels ages ago that Aaron Smith was en route to win this race. You know what? For the lead, it's getting a bit more interesting. Andre Villela is coming back at Paul Busby. The gap is now 3.77 seconds. At last time he gained by 0.4 of a second. Now he needs more than 0.4 of a second. He needs a second a lap, probably more than that, in order to catch by the end of the race. Busby, fortunately for him, he's not got too much traffic in front of him, I believe. At least Villela. You can see here he's all by himself right now. So I think Busby's going to have enough. I think he's just pacing himself.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's going to be any changes behind. I thought Marte might be able to get put to P2, but he's only matching the cars ahead at the moment, so he might have to settle for 4th position. Smith in 5th position. And looks like Ferrari will win out of the amateurs. He's running in 3rd place.
I know, it's
out
impressive.
of the overall LMDHs on top of the amateurs.
Plus, again, we're seeing the strategy of choice, not the one I'd pick, but no tyres. We have an AM in 3rd overall with an 18-second pit stop and holding QT's lap times. So again, we're seeing this no pit strategy pay off.
Yeah, and of course, I guess it's different, isn't it, to the officials? Like you almost need to do a full race stint in this in order to, or 2 race stints, I guess, to figure out what's the fastest pace. And even then, you know, it depends on where you come out on circuit. You know, when you have the traffic and stuff. So yeah, it's does seem to be a recurring factor, this strategy battle.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of cars on track, a lot of classes, and I always say this. I always remind myself this: if you're going to lose time in traffic, it doesn't matter if you've got high grip tyres or low grip tyres. The loss you receive is the same. So it can pay in these long, hour-long races to not take tyres, but you've got to commit to it on lap 1, corner 1. You've got to not cook your tyres. It can't be something you whim. I think you have to head out with this on your mind to look after your tyres.
Nick Madsen and David Vey are alongside one another at the moment for a position. I think that's 13th place overall. And I know on the time side it doesn't look like anything is happening, but these are 1 pro and 1 AM. Madsen, a pro, Vey and AM. But now Vey just being held up, you can see in the background there. So he's now 2nd behind it. It's Husu Al-Zugari, that brilliantly looking Porsche. Very much the next car to try to mount an attack. Ahead of them, Joshua Wilson, who of course had that couple of laps long battle against Nick Madsen. He's now 2nd up the road. There he is. It's impressive just how the manoeuvrability of both of the LMP3s and the MDHs through Eau Rouge and Radion, when they can consistently make those overtakes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, in an LMDH, that is quite the corner to experience. The level of downforce and speed and control you do have from the car. It is impressive. You just got to be careful of curb strikes. That was the biggest thing I found with this combo, with this speed coming from GTs, is how it can upset the car, and so immediately upset the car. Can be quite dangerous.
Bit of support in the chat for Remy Fortin from Racer GT.
That's nice.
Remy is still running in 2nd position out of the AMs, but approaches out of the LMP3s, but it looks like Dan Sedgley is going to be safe at the top there. Adam State a long way behind. Must have had further issues today. We saw him hit the barrier at La Fagna, but I think he's had another one because he was only 10 seconds back after that incident. And of course there was the retiree as well for Thomas Hansen. Did we see what happened to Hansen a few laps ago? Which,
we haven't.
Not the race.
No. Interesting to see.
And yeah, that's a shame for him because that was an easy 3rd place with the issues for State.
Yes.
That would have been a comfortable podium on debut for him.
Yeah, would have been great to see. Who are we seeing here?
Must be 2.2 seconds clear. The gap's gone down by another 7/10.
Yeah, this is impressive from Villa. He didn't take tyres. His pit stop is one of the fastest, not the fastest. Okay, so we're on white flag. Let's keep an eye on the lap time. So pulled down, it took 2 seconds is plenty for white flag. Plenty. Favaro, P3, but he's an AM driver. This is impressive. Is he going to find himself bumped to the pro? How's it work in this series? Can it be a mid-season change, or...?
There can be mid-season changes.
All right, I've cursed him, haven't I? I'll be quiet.
We'll Let's see if there's any changes there, but usually very reluctant to make any changes. Vast majority of series. Once it's set before round 1, there's going to be no change. The admins for these are great people. So.
Chat's asking if Favara's in the lead. No, the standings are just a little inverted. It is Paul Busby, BLR, and then Favara with QT about 10 seconds off the lead.
QT is catching up to Ferrari
He
on
is.
this last lap, but I mean, I thought it wasn't going to be enough. It might actually be enough. We'll have to catch that in the closing stages. There might be a launch at the bus stop. I don't think it's going to happen for Marto, but he's going to be very, very close, especially if Ferrari is running a bit on tight on fuel. About out in the lead. What a drive from Paul Busby. He put it on P3 on the grid. He was in the lead within a few corners, and when Adam Smith make his mistake, Paul Busby was there to take full advantage. He takes his first race victory in the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Behind him, Bilello will finish in second place. Top of the amateur drivers is Davide Favere. That's his first race victory. It means that we have a couple of different victors in the AMs already this season. And Dan Sedgley crossing the line as well with his fellow victors. Top of the LMP3 drivers for the second week in a row, and he will go into round 3 of the championship with a strong advantage.
Yeah, that's impressive. Double win, both tricky, busy tracks with everything happening. But again, he nailed everything, and that's what pays. Big gap. Did he really get it for 5 seconds, or are we just seeing that in delay? Was it
I think it was 5 seconds, yeah.
Very
He was
impressive.
pulling away. There might be a late change of position between Gonzaga and Toroshki. That's the 7th and 8th out of the AMs. Toroshki is rapidly catching up to Gonzaga in these final few laps. He was 2 seconds faster that last time round. But they are just going into the final chicane. It looks like he's going to hold on. Come on, send it, Blash. He sent it on lap 1. It didn't go well for him. Oh,
No,
man.
not at all.
I mean, had he not sent it, he would have had a run at the line because, I mean, wide was Gonzaga. Maybe it was Toroshki pulling him off. He holds on right at the close. Fantastic fight between those two drivers. And, well, we'll go to a quick advert, but when we return, we will have a look at the final race results and a chat with a few of our drivers. Welcome back to the Apex Racing TV studio, and yeah, fantastic round 2 of the championship right there, David. And of course, that turn 1 really was the pivotal moment, at least in the LMDHs, completely turning the race on its head. Both of our top 2 drivers on the grid being wiped out in the early stages.
Yeah, it is a shame to see, and you're probably right, there is a penalty coming the way. I honestly don't think he intended to make the jump for the lead there. It was 3 wide, a lot of adrenaline, cold tyres, which drivers for some reason always forget. Yeah, I think he just tried to be the latest of the breakers of the 3, and then he noticed the leader taking the line he was entitled to. It was just glad to see QT didn't suffer too much damage. Maybe he just nursed it well, but yeah, so a great comeback from him.
And in the end, it was Paul Busby picking up the pieces, but he still had, you know, some 30 other LMDH drivers to beat on that occasion, and he did do it. Valero was close by the end, 1.3 seconds. Busby, I think, was cruising. Hopefully we'll have a chat with him in a bit, but an amazing result for the head of Effect Simulations. Third place was Marteau. This is out of the pro drivers. That is Smith. What could have been for him? He lost some 15 seconds in the pit stop. He was 14 seconds off the lead. You have to think he would have been right with Busby had it not been for that bizarre instant in the pit lane. Then behind him was Kraft, Zofoli, Bia Chouvel, Wilson, Madsen, and Al Zuccari. And yeah, decent round for a fair few of them, particularly Madsen and Wilson with a fantastic battle on the most part. In the AMs, it was Bavaria ahead of Vilbrink. 20 seconds the difference. Bavaria really was dominant in the end. Then Nucera in third place, Vey, Makvakwa and Yukulson, Gonzaga, Turoshki, Smerik and Cullen. The LMDH AMs are going to be completely just messed up. I think everyone's going to be even on standings, but I think everyone's had a poor round so far. Yep. And we only had 2 weeks of the series. Then in the LMP3s, Dan Sedgley was able to pull away in the end. Didn't lead most of the laps. It was Remy Fortin who was leading in the early stages. But once he got ahead Sedgley after the pit stops, there was no looking back. Adam State, despite having issues, he'll take a podium. Tom Stevens had issues early on and was mainly running by himself from that point onwards. Paul Joseph close with a solid 5th place. There was Brian Robinson, Kev Copeland, Bob Humphrey, Thomas Hansen, and Joseph Saul. A couple of those drivers near the back not completing all the laps and yeah, not seeing the checker flag either. Let's have a chat with a few of our drivers. Unfortunately, none of the drivers have joined us so far, but I'm sure we will be able to drag up 1 or 2 of them in the near future. Out of those LMP3s though, I mean, of course, it was difficult to judge with, of course, these cars not being run in Apex Racing League in the past. We didn't know what this pecking order would be. Yep. But I think Dan Sedgley has definitely established himself as the man to beat, because he was tested for that first 40 minutes. I think now that we look back on it, it almost seems like he was just waiting, because that pace in the last 20 minutes was really rapid. Yeah, for sure. I mean, out of the 2 races, he's almost been faultless. Like, he's always done enough to either hang with the leaders, as we see in pretty much both races. Adams does seem to have the 1 lap pace over him, and maybe his stints are pretty much good, but he does seem to get either involved in more incidents or have the incidents. But no, Dan's doing everything he needs to do. Impressive. I think we might be having a chat with our race winner. Well, seeing that you called him to win this race, I'm inclined to give you the honours. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, let's chat with Paul. Hi, Paul, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
Mate, congratulations on the win. How did it feel, and how was it avoiding the T1 incident?
Yeah, it was great to win. Absolutely buzzing with it, to be honest. Pretty unexpected, but obviously I had to take advantage of Keo's misfortune at T1. I just looked in the mirror and saw the guy on the inside and just knew he was never going to make it, so I kind of bailed out of it and hoped for the best. And luckily for me, I kind of managed to sweep back underneath and away I went.
Yeah, very, very well read. Your pit stop I'm seeing for 20 seconds, is this 2 tyres? We're in the studio, obviously, guessing the strategy. It's tough I'm used to being in the rig, mate. I'm in the chair, so it's tough. Was it 2 tyres?
I didn't actually take any.
Oh, so your pit stop was just a little slower, maybe? A little.
Yeah, I overshot the pit box. Yeah, so I had to reverse back into my pit box like a toaster. That cost me a couple of seconds, I think. Easy done.
Any shout-outs, mate? Team members, teammates, anyone? Any shout-outs?
Yeah, just massive shout-out to Tim and everyone at Effect Simulations. Yeah, everyone's doing some mega work this season. We're trying to push on from all the results from last season and start challenging the big boys. So, yeah, thanks for having us and thanks for the broadcast.
No, mate, brilliant. Yeah, excellent. Mega win, mate, and good luck in the next round. Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Yeah, amazing win there for Busby, who's got to be put into championship contention after that fantastic performance. We'll have another chat with Aaron Smith, and I mean, we have communication now with Aaron. Aaron, I mean, so many positives to take from that race, but let's get to the negative. What went on at the pit stop? Because you watch back the stream, and you can hear my head falling into my hands.
Yeah, it's only now I've just found out that my the setup I was running was massively underfueled. I didn't know that until we got in. So I imagine it was underfueled as well at Fuji last week. So yeah, two weeks in a row, it cost me. But yeah, you can probably understand how I feel. Probably could have been a win, but yeah, I guess P5 is still okay. But yeah, I had some good pace. The car felt good, but yeah, it was underfueled by I think 8.5 gallons. You can do your conversions into liters, but yeah, very mixed feelings right now, but not feeling amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been so satisfying, you know, being out in the lead, because it seemed like you and Paul were very evenly matched. Did it feel like that way in the car? Because every time we tuned in, it seemed like the gap was at 1.4 seconds, and it seemed to never deviate from that.
Yeah, he had some pretty good pace today. I mean, he won, so I hope so. But I kind of felt, you know, obviously I was massively underfueled compared to him, but I didn't really notice him fuel saving all that much, whereas I was quite a bit. But yeah, I don't really know how much of a difference it made in terms of him not fuel saving, me fuel saving a bit, to me having lighter fuel. There's so many variables, but yeah, well done to Paul. He did an amazing job today, and good recovery from Marteau as well after having such a horrible first lap for him. And yeah, it's annoying, but judging by the pace I had, I think a win isn't too far away, but just have to get the strategy right next time.
Exactly, yeah. It will be very satisfying when you take that, I believe, first race victory in like the overall standings when it does happen. And yeah, sure, it will happen by the end of the season. Before we say goodbye, Aaron, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Marteau, really, we were in the voice chat earlier, just practicing with each other, and everyone at Apex. These broadcasts and leagues are always fun, and yeah, thank you guys. And I won't be here next week, unfortunately. I think I'm climbing a mountain in Wales, so that should be fun. But yeah, thank you guys.
I hope there's lots of climbing and not so much falling for that one, Aaron. And we'll see you back in a fortnight's time.
Thanks, guys.
Aaron Smith, very disappointed Aaron Smith, and absolutely fair enough that yeah, what could have been. And yeah, of course, just the fuel balance, and you know, that's another thing that, you know, you have the official series and you run a certain amount of fuel, I guess. Do you think with the length that he went half an hour, so I guess that's, yeah,
he's been running IMSA sets, not the IMSA endurance sets. So if it's an Apex dock or a VRS, it's always that like R1 or R2 or sometimes R3. But yeah, the highest number is always the one set to run, and obviously check your fuel.
Yeah,
I've been there. I know the feeling, especially in a long race. There is nothing worse. But yeah, that was a shame. He's right. The balance between him, he would have been quicker running the lower fuel, but if he's fuel saving, then he loses net time. So his pace looks good. It's just a case of filling it up.
Yes,
it's free. It's free time. It's horrible to have to put it in during the race.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see if he can, yeah, bounce back for that next one. Just a reminder one more time that we have got the upcoming season for the Apex Racing Academy Super Formula, and you can register for that on apexracingleague.com. There's a link in the description below. You can sign up for that. You can even sign up for this series as well. Sure, the first couple of rounds have gone, but we've got a drop round. Drivers have won after missing the first couple of rounds before. You can very much sign up on apexracingleague.com for either the LMP3 or the LMDH classes. We do thoroughly recommend it. But that pretty much wraps us up then for this evening. Big thanks to all of our sponsors once again: Virtual Racing School, Apex Racing Academy, Apex Racing Simulators, SDK Gaming as well. You can check out more about their products in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and check out our social media pages as well on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok as well. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and from David Sampson, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you back next time at Road Atlanta for round 3 of the season. See you then.